Yo guys, what's up? So I got stuck at work late. I walked into my shop and flipping half my wrap was peeled off. Pretty exciting. Jasper and Kaylor, yeah, thank you. Jasper and Kaylor got here, and Troy got here like at 5, and I didn't get here till like 9. So
they were sitting on their behinds, and I said I don't think you'd be mad if you pulled the wrap off.
okay, so Troy put them to work, but anyway, regardless, got some of the wrap off, which is super cool, and then I think all that's left is this door, and then, is that door still wrapped? Okay, so we're looking pretty good. I'm still working on the clutch and stuff. I'm gonna jump into that, but right now Troy needs the dash in, so we're gonna cut the dash up a little bit. We made some tiny little marks to see where we need to notch it for the cage. So I'm just gonna cut this a little bit at a time and get it in. All right, we are back. Another day has passed. We are back in the shop and we're taking care of some stuff so Troy can keep going on wiring. All right, so here's where we're at. Basically, I cut the delete panel right across the bottom line. So the delete panel is actually connected with Velcro to the back of the ignition switch panel. Here, I just siliconed in 2 nutserts, 2 quarter 20 nutserts, and just used some Allen head cap screws, or some Allen head pan head screws there. The right-hand side of the ignition is just Velcro as well. And then the top part up here is just bolted 2 on the bottom. And there is like a gap on top, but I'm gonna just make like a nice piece that'll fill this gap. So yeah, everything feels really solid. You can flip the switches, everything's good to go. So I think this is gonna be good for Troy to start. He can pull this out and wire everything from the panel that's going to be right here, which is going to be technically like the whole brains of the whole chassis harness. That'll go right up here behind the dash and finish that deal off. So that's pretty exciting to get that done because I hate having projects holding up other people that are working on my car. So let's move on to the next thing. I'm going to toss the engine in so I can get the tranny set up so I can ultimately find out if this is going to be a good location for the handbrake or I'm going to move it back to the other side. The main concern I have right here is potentially getting reverse and how close my hand is going to be to the kill switch right there. So let's do it. All right, so the engine is in. I probably could have put it in a more optimal way, but I tried putting it in with the whole subframe with the suspension on and everything, putting it like on the engine hoist and like lifting it up to it. It worked all right if I had maybe like another person, but it's in, everything's mounted up, engine mounts are in. Basically all that needs now is I need to put the harness back in, which we're still kind of messing with that because I want to put the ECU through the firewall, but I got to make sure it doesn't mess up any codes or anything by making a hole through the firewall over there. Gonna make sure I do it right. I have brakes are all hooked up. I just want to kind of run through and make sure everything's tight that I did touch before, just because pretty much everything was apart, so I just want to double check. The manifold I got wrapped up just to try to keep a little bit more heat off of everything else, which I'm kind of hyped about that. I'm glad I remembered to do that before tossing the engine back in. And now that the engine's in, I can kind of do what I wanted to do before, is hook the tranny back up to the shifter and then see if I can make a handbrake location work on the other side over there. So let's get it. So before I jump into that, sorry I changed. This is being filmed at a different time, but my dad is gonna jump into getting my rear quarters all cleaned up because my rear quarters were kind of sketchy. I cut them really nice the first time. Then I realized I didn't cut them enough mid-season. I didn't take the fenders off because I wrapped over the over fenders, which I probably will never do again. So I cut them inside the car and it worked, but it ended up obviously being a little bit sketchy. But luckily with the new kit, secret, I'm allowed to go a little bit higher with cutting it. So we remade that cut, folded in the inside, welded it in, basically welded the whole seam, and then yeah, it's gonna be really cool. My dad got one side done already. Here's that. Turned out pretty well. It's definitely gonna be way more sealed, no smoke getting in, really hyped about that. He's getting ready to do the other side, which that one's I'm gonna film for you guys, so you guys can check that out. now. Then we're gonna jump into the handbrake stuff. So I put my seat in, kind of set the handbrake where I felt it was good. I made a tiny little dot right on the top of the tunnel there. So this is kind of the location that it's gonna sit, kind of lined up. So the first thing I wanna do is, hold on, let me reposition this. So now knowing the location that I want, and since this is the bracket that I used to mount it to the other side actually, I'm just gonna kind of re-bend this bracket a little bit to meet the tunnel, and then put a nutsert there and bolt this in. So now the front is secured, and then I'll be able to figure out where I can put the back holes. Because the back, I'm probably gonna have to make a little plate that extends off the top of the tunnel to make sure it's strong enough when pulling back. So it is cool because it looks like my brake lines that I have set up are still gonna work perfect. Okay, so finally, after a bunch of bends, I was able to get it where when I put the e-brake over that little tiny dot that I have, the bottom bracket lines up really nice with the side of the tunnel. So I'm gonna drill that hole, pop a nutsert in there, line that up, and then we'll work on the back of the hydro bracket to make it go. So this deal's right, this is one of the coolest tools ever. This is actually Troy's, but, so this is a nutsert. If you've never seen one, it's basically just a deal that pops in, kind of like a rivet almost, expands on the backside, and it's threaded on the inside. It allows you to bolt anything, whatever. This tool, super easy to use. All you do is spin the nutsert on the end. You make sure this is open. This is all you do. Make sure this is open, spin this all the way in, put it through the hole, clamp it down, open it back up, go like maybe a turn more on the little knob right here, tighten it again. Now you just unthread this right out the back of it. And boom, there you go. Now you have a solid spot for a 1/4-20, M6, bunch of different sizes to bolt something. And that's what I'm gonna use to bolt the bottom of that right there. So now that I have the bolt in the bottom, I can kind of see where it lines up. And now that I see right here, basically I gotta make maybe a 4-inch, like 4-inch, like 1-inch by 4 flat stock, like 1/4-inch thick, maybe some spacers that'll go right off the top of the tunnel to the bottom of this bracket right here. That'll get mounted there, that'll get tightened down there, and then we'll see if we need anything else, but this is pretty much exactly where I wanted it. Okay, so I didn't have any flat stock laying around, but I actually have this bracket which is part of the like interior dash to hold the dash up, which I'm not going to be using anymore. And it's got a really nice section about 4 inches wide from basically here to here. And even though it's not 1/4 inch, it is bent on the sides and it's incredibly strong. So I think we're going to use this. All right, so I got the bracket cut off, I got the edges cleaned up, and I marked that hole is like just 3/4 inches away on center from the existing hole. And then this one is basically, this is the edge of the hydro, and then the first hole. So I'm gonna drill this one over here, I'm gonna drill this one, then I'm gonna grab the hydro and mark the other hole, or just measure off of it so I can put that hole in, mount this to the hydro, then line up to see where it sees, so where these two holes line up, so I can drill the holes in the tunnel, nutsert them, and hopefully mount this bad boy up. All right, so there we go. We got the little bracket cut, sitting down there just like that. I had to use some nuts as spacers just because I know it's gonna sit up a little bit. And yeah, those two bolts right there should be able to be 1/4-20 nutserts right into the tunnel, and I'm hoping this all lines up and is strong enough. If not, I can add something on the front, but I'd like to see it first. So let's slap her in the car and try to get those holes lined up for right there. All right, so here's the hydro mounted in. Bracket worked out all right with the little spacers. Everything feels super solid now that it's tight. And yeah, it fits perfect in between the steering wheel and the shifter. I can still get this into the reverse, and I'm still super far away from this, so I'm not worried about hitting that. Yeah. So we got the handbrake mounted. That was pretty much, like I said, one of the last things that I needed to drill holes with. Mostly everything taped off, a bunch of stuff cleaned up. We're getting ready for paint. So that's the next video. So make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Go watch some of my other videos. Make sure to leave a comment down below if you got anything to say. And I'll see you next time. Bye.